Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afio Levi Israel. Hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody's doing all right. You know, at the Forefront Radio, we like to discuss history, the Bible, and the truth about our people, the scattered tribes of Jacob across the earth. Today, we are addressing a grave matter. The land of Israel, the Israeli state aggression, has crossed into the continent of Africa. Yes, you heard that right. Bombs have fallen on African soil, and the silence of the leaders, our leaders, should concern us all. In just 72 hours, the state of the Israelis launched strikes against and across two continents: Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Qatar, and even Tunisia in North Africa. On September the 9th and the 10th, while you were distracted with the Charlie Kirk incident here in 2025, Israeli state drones struck two humanitarian aid ships docked peacefully in Tunisia's Agora port. These ships were not war vessels. They carried food and medicine for starving people in Gaza. Sometimes we forget the fact that there's Black Africans still in Gaza to this day. We forget about the Ethiopian Hebrews that live in Gaza, the African Americans that live in the state of Israel. We forget about them. It's time to remember your brothers and sisters that are abroad. The first ship, the family boat, flying a Portuguese flag, was struck. So now Portugal should be involved in this war now. The following day, the British flag, Alma, was also hit. So now Britain should now be involved and check these people for what they're doing. Tunisia's government initially tried to cover it up, but video evidence revealed the truth. Drones dropped projectiles from the sky. This is not new, folks. Back in 1985, Israel flew 1,200 miles to bomb PLO headquarters in Tunisia, deleting at least 47 people. Today, the same justification is used. They call it national security, y'all. But the scriptures tells us plainly in the book of Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1 to 2, it says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgments, and to take away the right from the poor of my people." This is not security, folks. This is unrighteous aggression, violating African sovereignty. Tunisia has admitted that this was a premeditated attack of extreme aggression. But where is the African collective outrage? Where are the emergency African Union meetings? Where are the sanctions? Where are the removal of African people from Malawi and other countries to stop working in the agricultural and various industries in the state of these Israeli occupiers? Instead, while Tunisia suffers, Zambia opens its doors to Israeli partnerships. On August the 12th, 2025, Israel reopened its embassy in Lusaka after 52 years of closure. Why? They're trying to escape. They're trying to have a backup plan just in case if ish hit the fan and they got to go. Because Israel sees Africa as a $1 trillion opportunity. Our copper, our cobalt, our manganese, and resources are all essential for their military tech and industry. This is a familiar pattern, y'all. Divide the continent, exploit resources, and weaken unity. This is why they go out of their way to send loans to various people, right? They send money out to various government officials of African nations to bribe them, and cause them to be silent. But the scriptures command us otherwise, y'all. Isaiah 58 verse 7 says, "Is it not to deal your bread to the hungry, that thou bring the poor that are at thy that are cast out to thy house. When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh. Our leaders should stand with the oppressed, not the oppressor. In Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31, it says, "Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." Meaning we shouldn't choose the ways of evildoers, y'all, at all. Now let's talk about the parallels to apartheid and colonization. South Africa understands the truth. They are leading a genocide case against the Israeli state at the International Court of Justice. They recognize the oppression of people in Palestine as the same system they once fought under apartheid. Nelson Mandela once said, "Our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians." Interesting to note that, right? We forget about the Afro-Palestinian population there. Remember what the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 3 says. It says, "Remember them that are in bonds. Remember them that are in bonds, as bound with them, and them which suffer adversity, as being yourselves also in the body." Meaning, if one of us are mistreated, all of us are oppressed. History repeats. Just as colonial powers divided and exploited Africa, Israel now applies the same playbook. They fake it in a $3 bill, y'all. They're not the real Hebrews of the Bible. They bomb our lands while shaking hands with the leaders for trade deals. Let's go to the book of Leviticus chapter 26. Watch this. No, let's go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 30. Deuteronomy 28, verse 30. Deuteronomy 28, verse 30. It says, let's read verse 29. It says, "And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropes in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee." Now let's jump down to verse 33. "The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always." Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. This is a generational curse that applies to the sons and daughters of Jacob. It says, "The fruit of their land, their natural resources, and their labor," meaning their work, meaning slavery, meaning colonization, "shall a nation which they know not eat up." When did that happen to Polish people that converted to a religion called Judaism? When did that happen to Ashkenazi that converted to a religion called Judaism? Never, never. When were they forced as captives to work all over the planet as enslaved persons? Watch this. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. Y'all, they fake it in a $3 bill, y'all. It says, "And the Lord shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other." Now let's compare the transatlantic slave trade to the Ashkenazi, the Polish, the folks that converted to Judaism, Zionism, and all these European converts, right? When were they scattered all over to every side of the planet, from one side to the other? When did that happen to them? Never, never, never. So not only are they the oppressors, they're not even fitting the prophecy of what would happen to the real Hebrews in the Bible, y'all. Now, we condemn extremist groups in Africa for justifying violence when they do it in God's name or Allah's name or whatever, right? But what about the state of Israel using their alleged divine promises that don't even apply to them, using the rhetoric that they're the chosen people that doesn't apply to them, and rhetoric to justify occupation and ethnic cleansing, y'all? This too is religious extremism, yet it's rewarded with billions in Western support. Christ himself warned in Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." You have Christian pastors that's telling you to side with the very nation state that doesn't fit the prophecies of the Bible. So what should we do in the Afro-Hebraic community to strive for unity? The flotilla bombed in Tunisia was a picture of what Africa needs. 50 ships from 44 countries united to break an unjust blockade. Even Mandela, grandson of Nelson Mandela, stood among them. That is solidarity in action, y'all. But our silence is shameful. If we do not unite, we invite more aggression, not only from Israel, but from any power that sees Africa as divided and weak. We have to unite with the diaspora. We have to unite with the Caribbean islands. We have to unite with all our Afro-Hebraic people in Asia, in Europe, in the Americas, in Central America, and all across the world to stand in solidarity. The Most High calls us to unity, folks. In the book of Psalms, chapter 133, verse 1, it says, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." If we do not unite against oppression, what will we unite under? Do we unite under peace, or do we unite under times of war and conflict? The Bible says in Isaiah chapter 5, verse 8, "Woe to them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth." Do you not see what these delusionalists are doing? These Eurocentric religious delusionalists are literally trying to distance themselves and unalive others and say the earth belongs to only us. That's what they're doing, y'all. Family, the bombs that fell on Tunisia are a warning. Today it's them. Tomorrow it may be another African nation. Will we remain divided, or will we stand in solidarity with one another and with all oppressed peoples all across the planet? Now, I'm not giving the Ishmaelite Arabs a pass. I'm not giving the Palestinians a pass, because they too had a part in slavery and colonization that impacted the Afro-Hebraic community that lives in the so-called Middle East. We know the Ottoman Turk history. We know the Ishmaelite Arabs history. We know about the Red Sea slave trade and the Trans-Saharan slave trade. We know about these events. We know about how in Libya right now, Black folks are being sold into slavery in Arab countries. Maybe this is a sign from God to shake up Africa so they can see the reality of their condition and to realize who has their best interests at heart and who don't care about their best interests at all. Christ himself said, Matthew 25 verse 45, "Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it not to me." So if you mistreat your own brothers and sisters, right, and allow others to do it, you did it to Christ. Let us not fail our brothers and sisters that are scattered throughout the African continent, our people that are in Palestine, nor our own African nations facing aggressions from the devil the Bible speaks of. This is the Forefront Radio. Stay awake to the ways of the world. Stay watchful. Stay united. And remember, our liberation is tied together. With that, we say shalom and peace to the 12.